My first year here, one of the talks that I heard, he had an old picture of a production that they had done at the turn of the century in the 1900s. And I thought at the time, wow, BYU has had opera that many years. I was preceded by some wonderful directors, and Don Earl was here in the 50s and 60s. He really got the opera program started. Brant Curtis, Clayne Robinson did a great job just before I got here.
I went to BYU and I got to see Die Fledermaus when I was there, and I was very impressed with how the singers did not use microphones, and yet you could still hear them in the hall. I said, how do they do that? Teach me.
I was studying in a high school that was part of the church, and then it became an MTC. So the only place where I could do opera in Mexico City was hours away from where I lived. I talked to my mom and she told me, then why don't you go to BYU? That would be so awesome.
I didn't know anything about classical singing. When they asked me, you want to be classical singer or popular singing? I thought that popular was like, and I say, the other thing, I don't know what it is, but I don't want to be popular. The moment that I start the lessons, I feel like, I don't know, I belong to this place.
I choose the opera, and The Merry Widow not only seemed to be a great fit to celebrate more than 100 years of opera at BYU, but it also, I think, is a fitting farewell for the Dion, since that will be the last opera that will be done in there.
Our current production, the libretto, was performed at BYU a quarter of a century ago in 1997, and it's an adaptation by Dr. Vincent with the help of his wife, G.
I had performed that piece 40 or 50 times in Europe, and when I arrived here in 97, I found that they had already chosen the production they were going to do. They had already started rehearsing it a little bit, and when I got it, I started looking at the score. They used the same music, but then it was just a completely different piece to me. I said to him, this isn't The Merry Widow. And so he said, well, where could we find a translation of it? So my wife, who speaks very good German, helped me translate that. And we hadn't finished it all the way before school started, but we finished the first act. So I just started with the first act without telling him we weren't even finished with it. And then over the weeks, we kept working hard and were able to finish it.
You could say that The Merry Widow is kind of a cross between The Bachelorette and Pride and Prejudice.
I've loved the show because you can be silly, and that's really funny, which is pretty typical of an operetta.
You have the medium of drama, but it's underscored by this amazing, beautiful music. It's really soul-moving.
The greatest challenge in directing this production, I think, has been the scope of it. The cast this year is about 4 times larger or more than the cast of last year's opera. You know, the orchestra's a lot bigger. We have dancers in addition to our normal singers and actors. And it's wonderful to be able to see that all coming together to produce a truly grand opera.
Opera is 3 parts: passion, passion, and passion. Passion for the theater makers, our passion for the libretto, and our passion for the music.
There's something so thrilling about hearing an acoustic voice in a hall that's resonant, that you can hear, and it's not amplified in any way. And it's been done that way for hundreds of years.
When you see an opera that's really done well, with really good singers and good acting, it's a life-changing experience.
But when you're in a theater and you're listening and you are like feeling all these things, you stop the world and you be a human being. You are capable to show your emotions, and I love that so much.